Good morning, Vienna. Happy Sabbath. Happy New Year. Can you believe it is 2026? I'm not going to tell you what year I was born, but I do remember growing up trying to calculate how old I would be at different times we would get to in the calendar. I ain't going to tell you, I quit counting before we got here. It's a new day. It's a new start. It's the same church. It's the same message. It's the same Jesus. We are Vienna. It is the same church. We are Vienna. We're going to work this year at being just a little bit more interactive so that your preacher can stay awake while he's preaching. We are Vienna. All right, we got some spirit going. We're going to be talking about how to build bridges of belonging. We're going to be talking about it all year long. Last year, we talked about beating with the heartbeat of Jesus. And I stood up here and I said, after our first year with the homeless shelter, we truly are beating with the heartbeat of Jesus. But I began to think about it throughout the whole year. Late into the year, me and Pastor began to brainstorm. And we settled this theme quite early last year. And I was watching and thinking about our church and about the work we did in the homeless shelter. And I thought about the work we did at the health fair. How we help people who didn't have medical insurance get medical services. I thought about the help we do at the hypothermia shelter. We help people stay warm. I thought about that our most well-attended service is always our international festival on Sabbath. I thought about bridges of belonging. Do you know that the greatest need in this world is the feeling of belonging? Do you know that the most money will be spent this year on people trying to find places to belong? If it will be in a club, if it will be in a bar, if it will be in a hobby, these are all things that people do to feel like they belong. Because there's something innate in us, and we're going to talk about it today, that is in our very design that says we should be connected more than we are. So our whole theme for the year is building bridges of belonging, becoming a church that builds bridges, becoming a church that includes people, becoming a church that embraces people, not only includes people, embraces people, but builds the bridge to bring the people to follow Jesus into right. So our theme for the year will be building bridges of belonging, and our first series in our theme for the year is Belonging by Design with the subtitle Connection by Choice. I want you to think about that. We'll come back to that. Belonging by design. You are designed to belong. It is why you crave community. It is why you crave to be noticed. It is why you crave for someone to connect with you. You are designed that way, but you only connect by choice. In the first sermon today, made to belong. Made to belong. Because we are designed to belong. You know, around Christmas time, you notice that around Christmas time, you go to the grocery store, and it's the weirdest thing because most of the things are not where they should be, right? Like people have bought up all the things you want to buy, and you're looking around like, why can't I find, I don't know, whatever you want. And it's not there. It's not on the shelf. And you keep checking your phone, you keep looking around, and you're trying to get everything you need. But, for me, it was just a day or two from Christmas. I should have done my shopping earlier. Anyone else? If you were on my staff, you heard me complaining about, I don't have time, I got to finish this, So I find myself in the grocery store. And I am in this terribly long line. There's few things I hate more than a long line. Being stuck on I-66 is one of them. But that's also being stuck in a long line. And there I was, stuck in this long line, and there's all these people, and there's just this one guy. It's always what? One guy. And he's got a bunch of stuff in his cart, and he doesn't even got a lot, but why is it taking him so long? Like, the conveyor belt's been there all along, buddy. Why didn't you put your stuff up? Why did you wait until you were right at the register before you start taking things out of your cart? I'm like, I got things to do. I got a shelter I got to get going in a couple days. I got a staff meeting I got to get to, but I got to have something to feed my kid on Christmas morning. So can this guy just move along a little bit more? And then I think, well, do I have everything in my car? Start looking down at my car. Start thinking about my car. Start checking my phone because I know that if I missed anything on the list, yes, oh mercy. So I'm looking down. I'm texting Tina. Do I got everything I need? Do I got it? And this guy, he's going so slow. And now he pulls out all this change out of his pocket. He wants to pay with his handful, and he drops it on the ground. And quarters and pennies and nickels and dimes. Do we still have pennies? All the stuff starts rolling down this line of people. And here I am. I'm just like, do I got the stuffing? Do I got the potatoes? Tina's a vegetarian. What does she want? Is there a Slack message coming in? And I'm able to justify not helping him pick up his coins. I just want to get through this line. He's already taken up so much of my time. And then, before I know it, the clerk had come around, picked up the guy's coins, and was checking him out while I'm still checking out my phone. Like everybody else in the store, checking out their, tapping my foot, can this guy get out of the way? And that's when it began to dawn on me. We live like we're the center of everything. We live like our problems are everyone else's problems. We live like everybody should exist to solve my problems, and everyone who isn't solving my problems is a part of my problem. And it's almost like we treat people that they either can help us solve problems or they can get out of our lane while we solve them. We live like our time is what's sacred, not the people God made. I want you to think about that. Do you treat God's creatures as sacred as you do your important time? And I began to think about that. I began to think about our busy, absorbed lives. I began to think about, is this how God designed us to be? God designed us to be so concerned about our schedule, so concerned about our important work. I mean, opening a shelter over Christmas, that's important work. I mean, but it's all centered on what I need. And I'm happy to tell you, I didn't leave the grocery store without having coming to this conclusion that maybe I'm the one that's too self-absorbed. Maybe I should take more time going through the checkout line. Maybe I should actually, instead of scrolling on the phone, be talking to people in that long lineup for the cause of the kingdom. Maybe I should stop making myself centered. I began to think about this idea that life is too chaotic to care sometimes. Come on. You got meetings to go to. You got bills to pay. You got problems to solve, don't you? But sometimes we don't have time to rest in the beauty that God has put all around. Now listen to me. There is nothing more beautiful. Are you hearing me? There is nothing more beautiful than what God calls in Genesis very good. Not just good. He goes through the days, good. Very good. When God makes art, come on, are you with me this morning? When God, are you with me? When God makes art, He gives it feet. When God makes art, He gives it hands. When God makes art, He gives it a soul. When God makes art, He starts. Anyone still believe this stuff? He starts by making it light. He continues by separating water from air. He goes on to hang planets and universes and Milky Ways and galaxies in the sky. But these things are just good. He puts creatures that can breathe in water and creatures that can breathe in air. It's still good. And then He makes animals and mammals and art that talks, art that walks, art that creates. He makes you. But so many of us are just too busy to pay attention to God's art. We'll talk about, oh, look at that beautiful landscape, and oh, the drive to the country, oh, I'm going to go out and be in nature. God's greatest art is right here. And God got something right about the Sabbath that I don't think I've ever heard a Seventh-day Adventist get right. Want to know the secret about Sabbath? God's ultimate crowning art was so beautiful that He had to take a whole day just to sit and enjoy it. But we got to get into church late and out early. But God wanted to spend time with His greatest art. I want you to think about this. Before sin, before command, before mission, there was belonging by design. Come on. We believe in Genesis 1 and 2, don't we? We have anybody here who is a traditional Adventist still, who still believes in the creation week? Come on! Then you ought to be spending your Sabbath with people. Because for God, what rest is enjoying his most beautiful art. Belonging. Before sin? Before? Come on, you guys got to be with me. I'll say before sin, you'll say command. I'll say mission, you'll say belonging by design. Before sin? Before mission? Belonging by design. Before sin? But for mission? Imago Dei. Theological term. Means to be made in the very image of God. This is the context of Genesis 1 and 2. He did not, he made light. He made air and water and separated them. He made mammals or he made birds and fish. Then he made mammals, but only one was Imago Dei. Only one was the image of God. And it's that image we don't have time for. Come on, church. If we don't have time for the image, will we have time for the Creator? Isn't what we do with the image of God very telling about how we feel about the one that image reflects? Imago Dei. The image, the reflection of God. Belonging by design. God said, let us make mankind in our likeness, our image, our likeliness. God begins creation, not with Sabbath, he ends it with Sabbath. But we're going to make Sabbath the most important part we're going to remember about creation. But that's where he ended. It's not where he started. What he starts with that creation is belonging. Oh, it's okay if we don't include belonging. It's okay if we don't have time for people. It's okay if we don't build bridges of belonging into our church. As long as we went to church on the right day and we aren't like those other people. We act like you can jump to the end and get it right without starting in the beginning. But the very book itself, the very chapter itself starts with, in the beginning. Before you can be a good Seventh-day Adventist and get to the Sabbath, you must understand that people belong. And the Sabbath exists for people and for God to enjoy his people. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness. The implicit idea here, without getting into all the theology, is this a Trinitarian verse or not? But the implicit idea here is that God's building blocks for the whole world, God's building blocks for all of history, God's building blocks are simple. Community. Community. Belonging. It's plural on purpose because it's not for someone, it's for everyone. There is not a particular group of people who are in his image and a particular group of people who are bad. It's not a particular group of people who look like this or look like that or vote like this or vote like that or think like this or think like that. No, it is that all are in the image of God. You're not a fish. You're like, thank you, I needed that for me. You're not a bird. You're not livestock. Sometimes we treat people like livestock. You're not a wild animal. You're not a creature that crawls on the ground. You're Imago Dei. Because this is how the whole verse goes. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish who live in the sea, the birds in the sky, and over the livestock, and over the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. See why you're not them? You're the keeper of them. See why you're not them? You're above them. There is a pecking order, and you are at the top because you are Imago Dei, the reflection of God. That's why I'm going to tell you, before command, I'll just wait. Let me know when you guys are back online. You're buffering right now. I know you are. Before command, before responsibility, belonging. Belonging doesn't come from command. Belonging doesn't even come from mission. Belonging doesn't come from responsibility. Yes, Adam and Eve were given responsibility to take care of the earth, but that's not where belonging comes from. It comes from relationship. It comes from relationship. Now watch this. Belonging doesn't come from the cross. Whoa. I'm going to be very careful to parse my theology right here because someone's going to call either a theologian or the conference or both. Hear me clearly as I articulate clearly. Belonging doesn't come from the cross. The cross comes because of belonging. It's different, and it's not the way you think about it, but it is the biblical picture. Belonging, you don't belong to God because of what he did on the cross. He did what he did on the cross because you belong to God. Because there is no cross in Genesis 1, and there is no cross in Genesis 2. And there is no sin in Genesis 1, and there is no sin in Genesis 2, but there is belonging. Before even sin and redemption, there was belonging. You belong by design. That's why it goes on to say in Genesis, so God created mankind in his own Imago Dei. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of who? See, he's making sure you know. He created his own image, and he's going to specify what his own image is. The image of God, because, some of us are slow. He created him, male and he created them. From the beginning, the design is community. From the beginning, the design is plural. From the beginning, the design has nothing to do with individuality and everything to do with individuals belonging with inside a system called community. Belonging, relationship. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, meaning mankind. And then he defines what mankind is. Mankind is plural. Mankind is not just Adam. Not just male, but male and? Expected the ladies to be louder on that one. He created them. Humanity is not complete with just one. Adam is not human if he's alone. This is a key point. I want you to hold on to it. Because Genesis 1 just told us that mankind cannot exist. I mean, we know biology, but putting biology aside, mankind cannot exist with just one. Because mankind was never designed to be an individual, but a community of belonging. And that takes at least how many? 2. Adam alone is not humanity. Now, I'm an introvert. I like to be alone. I like to charge up. That's how I charge up, is being alone. Give me a book and a beverage that may or may not be caffeinated, and I charge up. But when I do so, I'm not whole. I charge up so I can go out and be whole. Adam alone is what? Not humanity. N.T. Wright, one of the greatest scholars in the Christian church, says bearing God's image is not something we do alone. It is something that we do together, reflecting God's wise, rational rule into the world. In other words, you cannot bear God's image alone. And this is challenging for us because we are taught as Westerners, we are taught as Americans, we are taught as people who are raised in a culture that says, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That success is all about individual governance. But that's not what bearing God's image is about. It's something that we cannot do alone. It's something we must do together. Before sin, okay, so see this line is spinning here again. We're going to upgrade the Wi-Fi. Before sin, before mission. For people online, they're definitely not going to hear you, so we're going to do it again. I'm going to do both parts, but you can come with me. Before sin, before command. Before mission, there was belonging by design. Tim Mackey from the Bible Project puts it this way: God does not create humans as isolated individuals. From the beginning, humanity was a relational project. And I'll tell you something else. Moses agrees with Tim Mackey pretty hard. And Moses is about to take what Tim Mackey is saying right here and say that God won't bless individuals. I'm not going to say it. Moses is going to say it. God does not create humans as isolated individuals. From the beginning, humanity is a relational project. And Moses said, God blessed Adam. God blessed him. Oh, now you're reading. Moses said, God blessed who? Oh, here's the why we're not getting blessings. Come on, folks. Come on, wake up. You want to be blessed in 2026? You're not going to be. Because God don't bless individuals. You want us to be blessed in 2026? That's what God will bless. And God blessed who? God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. And now we always think about this as population, but I want to say, yeah, sure, population, but I want to tell you something else. Your life can't be full. You cannot fill the earth. You cannot go out and achieve your goals without them. You cannot be the Lone Ranger and believe in a literal 6-day-a-week creation. There are no Lone Rangers in Genesis 1 or 2. In fact, I could put this, like if there was like, this is the NIV. But if we had a VIV, like Vidi-inspired version, I might say, and God blessed Vienna and told them to go build bridges of belonging. Do you see it? They're to go fill the earth. They're to go build bridges. They're to expand belonging. But belonging past two people. Belonging that would fill the whole planet. That's the goal. God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. God blessed Vienna and said, go build bridges of belonging. And the most fascinating thing starts to happen in Genesis 2. It is a fascinating case story. And it runs right into my doctorate work, by the way. I'd never seen Genesis 2 this way until I started studying it from the mindset of belonging, from the mindset of community. We like to have our little stories where we talk about, God forming Adam out of the dust of the earth, right? And he breathes his spirit, his rock into Adam, right? Immediately, there's more than two, more than one. Life doesn't begin until God puts a part of himself in Adam. There is no life without community. You're just a bunch of dead dirt. Outside of community. One preacher put it, don't get too caught up with yourself. You're just a pile of dirt. And then I heard an old country preacher expand on that. Yeah, they are just a piece of dirt, but not even good dirt, just dust. But when God breathes into dust, he makes the most beautiful pieces of art. And I am privileged to stand here in his gallery from the very front and look down at God's gallery of his artwork and say, it is not dirt. It is beautiful. But it's not done. What's wrong? Come on, what's wrong? What's wrong in chapter 2? There's a lot of scholarly debate. Is Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 two different accounts? I'm not going to get into that debate either, but I'm going to tell you this. Number 1 told you what's wrong, and you're supposed to notice it in number 2. Are we looking at a picture of completed humanity here? How do I know that? Because he created them what? In 2. It's like Moses knew something that most women already knew. And you know what Moses knew that most women already knew. The Lord said it is not good for man to be alone. You'll get in a lot of trouble. So I will make a helper that is suitable for him. Richard Davison is one of our greatest scholars up at the seminary. And Richard Davison says this. He says, the declaration not good in Genesis 2:18 is striking because it occurs in a world untouched by sin. Ooh, think about that for a minute. You can have a world untouched by sin and it still not be good. See, some of us think we're going to be good just by not doing anything bad. I see, how you doing? I'm good, really? Richard Davison is on to something here. The declaration "not good" in Genesis 2:18 is striking because it occurs in a world untouched by sin. It signals that incompleteness is not imperfection. That last line, stick with it. It signals that what? Incompletion is not imperfection. Were people perfect in Genesis 1 and 2? We as Adventists say it all the time, don't we? You're not so sure right now, though. In the Hebrew mindset, there is a difference between perfect and complete. The number 7 in Hebrew, like in the 7 literal weeks that we've been preaching about, actually represents not perfection. I know, you've going back to your Revelation seminars and you're scolding your teachers. No, it doesn't mean perfection. It means completion. The week is completed when God rested in the beauty of his creature. You can be perfect and not complete. A whole lot of Seventh-day Adventists I know. My whole journey long. Working really hard on perfection. And don't see how incomplete they are. What will it profit a man, Jesus said, to gain the whole world but lose his soul? And I would say to you, what will it profit an Adventist to be completely perfect without sin and not touch cheese in 20 years? And to be lonely, isolated, and bitter. It's really easy to think yourself perfect when you're alone. Come on. It's really easy to think yourself perfect when you're alone. You only have one person to convince. But it's in community that we find completion. Loneliness is not Adam's failure. Come on, guys. Loneliness is not Adam's failure. It's Adam's discovery. Is it yours? Are you still a pre-Genesis 2 Adam? Have you discovered that you're not complete as an individual? Have you discovered that you can't be blessed as just an individual? Have you discovered what Adam discovered? That blessings and belonging only happen in community because that is the way that God has designed the universe to work from the very beginning. Daniel Goleman is a leading scholar in emotional intelligence, of which my doctorate is on, and this is a key quote. Self-awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence. Without it, the it being self-awareness, without it, we are driven by needs and fear we do not recognize. The problem for many of us is we think we're all right. The problem for many of us is we think we're doing okay. The problem for many of us is we don't want to trouble anyone else. The problem of many of us is like, no, I got it. Got what? You will never get out, hear me, you will never get out of Genesis 2 without self-awareness. You will never complete Genesis 2 without self-awareness. Adam had to become self-aware that he was not sufficient. Adam had to become self-aware that it's not good that he be left alone. Adam had to become self-aware that he wasn't a fish, a bird, isn't this the story of Genesis 2? Or a mammal. To be made in the image of God, to be Imago Dei, is to understand you belong by design. Incomplete people, and I say this unapologetically, incomplete people lack self-awareness. They can't discover community because they think they are good all alone. Listen to me, good Seventh-day Adventist Christians who believe in the literal creation week, who believe in the literal interpretation of the first 3 chapters of Genesis. The resounding message of the first 3 chapters of Genesis is you are not designed to be alone. You cannot thrive alone. And being alone and isolating and pulling away is deciding to not be Imago Dei. It is an actual lack of self-awareness that prevents you from being in the image of God. The Lord God said, it is not good for man, and the word there is mankind, to be alone. I will make him a suitable helper. But Adam could not find a suitable helper. Ellen White comments directly on this in Patriarchs and Prophets. She says, man was not made to live in solitude. He was to be a social being, reflecting the very image of God. Are you living up to this quote? Am I living up to this quote? Are we as a church living up to this quote? Are we reflecting the image of God? Or are we living in our silos? Are we reflecting the image of God? Or are we staying isolated as a pocket community? Are we reflecting the image of God? Or are we being a social being, as Ellen White says it? According to Ellen White and Tim Mackey and N.T. Wright and Moses, that's a pretty good sample of people. We are only living in his image when we are being social beings. Listen to me, I want to be clear. Adam is not sinful in Genesis 2. I want to be clear. Adam is not broken in Genesis 2. I want to be even more clear. Adam is created good in Genesis 1 and 2. I want to be even more clear, but that does not mean that because he is not sinful, because he is not broken, and because he is good, that does not mean he is complete. Adam alone, he is, hear me clearly, perfect. Now hear this, perfect is not enough. Because perfect is not good. Because Adam is implicitly perfect in Genesis 1 and 2, but he is declared not good when he's alone. Only called very good when there's two. Some of us are working so hard to be perfect that we will never be good. Before sin, Before mission? Before sin? Before mission? Before sin, before command, before mission, there was belonging by design. And thank goodness the chapter doesn't end there. Thank goodness we know the end of the story. Thank goodness we know what? We know that God could not find a suitable helper for Adam. So God made one out of his rib. But have we learned the Adam lesson? Have we become self-aware that we can't make it without each other? Have we become self-aware that we're spinning our tires in the mud? We just need 3 guys to get out of the car and push. Have we as the church not even learned enough Bible to understand the first 2 chapters? And I don't mean that just as Vienna, and I don't mean that just as some of the Adventists. I would put that challenge out to all of Christianity. I think Christianity as a whole is trying too hard to be perfect and not hard enough to be good. They're so concerned about this sin and that sin and this thing, who you voted for who and who's going to vote for who, that they're not even paying attention. You can get all the stuff right, have all the doctrines down, be able to quote the 2300 day prophecy perfectly, and not even be good. George Knight, our leading church historian, says, one of the greatest deceptions of the modern Christian is the belief that independence is maturity. We pride ourselves on the Protestant work ethic. The Protestant work ethic is the idea of Benjamin Franklin, right? The idea that you pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. But this is not a biblical idea. You're not mature because you can take you're not mature because you can take care of yourself. You're immature because you're not actively a part of a community taking care of each other. And Christianity is flooded with immature people. I'm not talking about us. We're so mature. But Christianity in general is flooded with immature people. One of the greatest deceptions of modern Christians is the belief that independence is maturity. It's simply this. We look in the mirror and we expect to see ourselves there. But if you look in the mirror and you see yourself there, it's only teaching you one thing: you're alone. If you look in the mirror and you only see yourself, you are alone. If you're imagine your day of if you're the actual sacred reflection of God, there must be community. So it starts with me. Do I want relationships that slow me down? Man, people come into my office, ask me all kinds of things all day long. It's like they think I don't have a sermon to write. But then I have to ask myself, do I want relationships that slow me down, challenge me, and ask me to pick up spilled quarters on the supermarket floor? Or do I prefer independence, efficiency, and control of my time? Because you can be an individual within a community, but when you are an individual within a community, it takes away from your independence, your efficiency, and your control. Because it's not circuit time if you got the right things on your grocery list when the quarters are all over the floor. Is this what's happening to churches? Is this what's happened to Christianity? Not that we've stopped believing, but we succeeded in being individual. Have we rewarded people for their individuality so much that they remain incomplete in the pews? Individualism versus belonging is tearing churches apart in every denomination across the country. It really is. What's more important? The way I want things or the way we want things? The songs I want or the songs we want? Is it my ministry or is it their ministry? And even we'll fight over whose ministry is the most important in the church, and we don't care that that fight is tearing the church apart. Because it's about the individual, not belonging. I went to a conference when I was a brand new pastor, and one of those big church growth conferences. And I was up early, and I'm not an early riser, but I was up early. I went down for breakfast early, and I sat down at this table. And this is a big church conference, and I sat down with this gentleman who I'm not going to name today, but I'm just going to tell you about this gentleman. And he could be multiple people within the Adventist church or out of the Adventist church. This was a big conference I paid to go to. And like a newbie, I had no idea who the keynote speaker was. And like a newbie, I had no idea that I'd sat down at his table. Probably one of the most influential speakers in all of Christendom, pastoring one of the largest churches in America, and I'm sitting at his table. I just walked up like a dum-dum, and they're like, "Oh, is there anyone sitting here?" And I said, "I built community." And I'm sitting there talking to him. We're eating breakfast, and he's like, "Are you a pastor?" Yeah, I'm a pastor. I'm such a good pastor, I got 4 churches. Right, because that's what they do with the new pastors. They throw them out there with these big districts, right? It's like, "Oh, you must be an important guy. Tell me about your work," and so on. Sitting there, and I'm like this newbie, and I'm telling him about all my work. And he's learning about all the different churches I'm preaching at and what my preaching sermons are. I'm talking to one of the world's best preachers about my sermon series. I said, "Oh, that's interesting. I never thought about it that way. That's very interesting." Blah, 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 blah. Going on about my commute and how I got these churches and what the schedule they're on and how, what my plan is and what, and I'm talking to one of the greatest evangelist leaders. And I'm talking. I'm all individual. I want to feel important. I'm brand new. And then as the room gets noisy and other people are coming to eat, and I realize that we're going to get up and leave and not see each other, and I realize the time is almost up, I look over and say, "Oh, by the way, where do you pastor, and what's your church?" He looked at me and said, "Well, I don't think you're asking the right question, young man." I said, No, I'm sorry. I know I was a little bit rude, and I dominated the conversation, and I want to hear about your ministry. And he stopped me right there. He looked at me and said, "My ministry? Oh, I don't have a ministry." I said, "Well, what are you doing at this conference then?" "Oh, I'm just the speaker." Like, oh. Well, you have to have a church if you're the speaker. There's a church growth. Oh. There's a church that lets me go, but I don't have a ministry, and I don't have a church. I have a Jesus. And Jesus has a ministry that he lets me partake in. And he lets me partake of it in one of his many churches. I aspire one day for him to have enough faith in me that I might have 4. But I don't have a church and I don't have a ministry. They don't belong to me. All ministries and all churches and all people belong to Jesus. Adventist scholar Ranko Stefanovic puts it this way: the church is not a collection of spiritual individuals, but a covenant community shaped in life, or shaped by shared life in Christ. The church is not a collection of spiritual individuals, but is a covenant community. What does a covenant community mean? It means that they have made an agreement, they have made a marriage, they have made a pact to have a shared life in Christ. It is not good that humans should be alone. It is not good. What would we call ourselves? Viennans? Members from Vienna? Viennans? Are we Viennans? I have to wordsmith that one out. Be alone. And it never was. We're going to do our card here in a minute. We're going to do in a minute. I want you to look at it, start looking at it now. And I want you to say this one more time with me. Before sin, before mission, before sin, before command, before mission, there was belonging by design. Oh, there's another line on there. What's it say? And here's the whole point of the sermon. And now I will sit down. You were designed to belong. God did his part. Are you hearing me? Stay with me. People can come on the stage, but stay with me. You belong by design. God did his part. But being connected is your choice, and he will not do that. God does not take choice away from you. We are unblessed and we are unhappy sometimes. And the only reason we're unblessed and we're unhappy is because we know we were designed for something that we're choosing not to connect to. Listen to the team.